All right, so it's a Merry Christmas for you. Is it a ho-hum Happy New Year as well?
No, it's a great New Year.
Oh, you like New Year's?
Love New Year. Well, not actually the day, and I don't believe in the fucking bullshit resolutions. It's really more about the Hawks winning was
Yeah,
what my
but
happy, moment of, this year or turning the page, right? We're undefeated
yeah,
this year.
yeah. In 2022, yeah. But before we get to that, though, so no resolutions for you. Is there any sort of like turning over of a new leaf, or any sort of like, okay, this year I'm gonna, or like just like a man, I'm gonna just reset a little bit, maybe, or something like that. You don't go through any of those thoughts at all?
I mean, not really. I think that's a
Wow,
constant for me, trying to
I
just
love
be
that you're able
better.
to do that.
Well, no, not that I'm able to. I'm trying to, right? I
Yeah.
think anybody's full of shit if they're saying, "Oh, yeah, this is what I do. This is me." It's easy. Fuck, no, it's not easy. But
It's a constant effort, is what you're saying.
every day, to try to better yourself in any way, whether it's family, business,
Sure.
our podcast partner.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, no, I mean, there's always, but that's not something that should start on the first day of the new year, like right there.
Right.
That's because I never believed in that. It's just
I don't know, man. I hear you, and I try to do the same thing. Obviously, constant work and improvement, and listening to yourself and being aware and all of that. But I do fall victim to the turning over of pages, even with just like weeks. I'll go like, diet starts on Monday, like that kind of thing. Like I'll wait until, or like the morning, it's like, well, today's the day that I start doing this, but I'll wait till tomorrow. I'm a procrastinator. So the new year is like, okay, new year, a little bit of a new me, even though I do try most of the time.
well, but if I'm not wrong, you do something every year, right? You accept like a year-long challenge.
I try.
So,
I try.
well, I mean, didn't what was last year? Like no, one of it was no soda for a full year,
No
right?
soda for a full year. I made it on that one. I made it on vegetarian for a year.
That's
Last
insane.
year, I didn't pick anything because it was 2021. We're still in the throes of this thing. I was like, forget it.
Yeah. So I guess, you could say yours. Well, how did those, before we start the show and everything, how did those like affect like not just your year, but did you keep it going forward, or were you able to bring it back in moderation?
No, I just did it for the year, felt good about that, and then thought I would move on to another one. But then this whole pandemic in 2021 and then not giving an F rolled around for last year. And that's why this year my resolution is to mail it in. So
Send it. Just send it.
my resolution this year it flies in the face of all resolutions, which is I'm just going to be mediocre. No more shooting for the top for me. It's too exhausting. I'm going to shoot for the middle and be fine with that. I mean, there's a TV show called The Middle. People like the middle. The middle is comfortable.
Malcolm in the middle.
Trying for the top of the mountain is too much work. So this year I'm mailing it in, Lofa.
Mediocre.
No, I won't be able to do that. Anyway, whatever. Let's start the show.
Start the show.
I'm shooting for the stars as always. Let's do it. Hit the theme song.
Let's get this crowd going now. Come on, get him up, get him up, get him up.
Hawks on three. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lofa Tatupu is up in the mix.
Go Hawks.
I'm just about that action, boss.
Takes the snap. He's going to throw down the middle. What a catch!
It's intercepted by Lofa Tatupu.
Holy catfish!
Hey, that's great football now.
It's gonna work now. Let's keep playing.
Who's got my back?
I got your back.
That's Lofa. A player. Triple plant. Thunder. On one. Ready. Play.
Russell looking.
Go Hawks.
Russell scrambling.
Go Hawks.
Pump faking.
Go Hawks.
Still looking. Now he spins out.
We got a fly, baby.
35-40. Down the far sideline. He's still moving. He's going to go.
Yes. 20, 10. They do it again. Touchdown. 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 Seahawks.
It's the Seahawks podcast on the Believe Football Network, brought to you by Simply Seattle. Lofa's rocking a Simply Seattle hat right there, a Supersonics hat. Simply Seattle is the world's largest Seattle Supersonics store on the planet Earth. So go to simplyseattle.com, get all of your Sonics gear over there, whatever you need. Simply Seattle is the best. I'm Brett Davern. He's Seahawk Lofa Tatupu, and Lofa, my real resolution this year is to stop snacking after dinner. I need to knock it off with this. I need to remember the times when I was too poor to snack after dinner because I was in a lot better shape.
Hey, it's more of what you don't do. I mean, you can go to the fucking gym and kill yourself 2-3 times a day. You know, people pulling double days.
Right.
You cannot outwork a shitty diet. That's the truth, especially at our age. I'm just telling you, partner.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and
Oh, I
it's
feel you. I hear you. That's why I'm laughing.
you can snack. Just stop eating the chips and the ice cream and like the unhealthy stuff. I mean,
Right.
you know, you could have vegetables. I know it doesn't sound amazing, but it will actually fill you up.
Oh no, the salty and crunchy around like 9:30, 9:15, watching my programs, you know?
But you know what happens? Then that turns your sleep into shit. And now you're playing from behind the next day.
Well, that's why this year though, 2022, it's the year of no snacking after dinner. So we'll see how it goes.
You're gonna see a big improvement.
All right.
I'm telling you.
It's only been 4 days, but it's
and you look way better.
Thanks, dude.
Your face has gotten so skinny that your hair looks long.
On today's episode of the Seahawks podcast, everybody, the Seahawks have also turned over a new leaf. They hung 51. Did someone say 51?
They call that the loaf tea burger.
They hung a lofa on the Detroit Lions, everybody, and they look great doing it. So we'll get into all that. And then, of course, people can't stop talking about all the rumors and what's going to happen in the offseason. So big show for us today. Before we get into all of it, let's talk about another one of our sponsors, betonline.ag, your online wagering experts. If you guys are making bets out there and you don't feel like, getting out of bed or getting on a plane or going to Vegas or going to a sports book in the flesh, go to betonline.ag. Use our promo code
BLEAV50, BLEAV50.
That's right. 50% welcome bonus. They got a brand new dashboard, super easy to navigate and use. You can bet on anything from the world of sports. They also have a casino with table games and normal casinos type stuff. So whatever you're into, it's betonline.ag, everybody. Lofa. They crushed them.
Oh, just an absolute peppering. I mean, where do you want to
Took
start?
them out behind the woodshed.
There's just
Showed them who's boss.
Yeah, there's so much good to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, no Jared Goff, so we didn't get to play against Jared.
Thank God.
We played against Tim Boyle, and it was a rough day for Timmy. But the Seahawks took care of business. They did what they had to do. They put up 51 points. A lot of good happens when they finally do what we and a lot of Seahawks fans have been asking for all year, which is run the damn ball and throw it to one of the biggest receivers in the league. I mean, seems like a recipe for success.
Yeah. But, I mean, it goes hand in hand. I mean, the fact that we were so dominant on the ground, shout out at O-line. There was several times we shot Payne and they touched. Now, I know they're making a lot like, sign him to a max contract. We'll get to there. We'll talk about that in the offseason. But, average 7 again. But, 25 carries. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm talking 25 just out of him alone. I think it was another 12 or 15. Yeah, we up to 40 carries.
Wow.
That is who we are and when we play our best ball.
Right.
And because of that, because we were so effective, now you see Russell not having to shoulder the whole, the game and the blame if we don't win. I mean, that's how you put up. Haven't done 51 since he was a rookie. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's fitting that we did do it on what could potentially be his last game. Right. I mean, he was
that's the whole question that we got to get into that. But I mean, dude, like for a guy who wants the legacy, he wants the Hall of Fame, he wants the numbers, it's to let Russ cook and all of that. Like you just said, they ran the ball 40 times, but he still ends up with 4 touchdown passes. So like
have 4 in any other game, maybe 1. I don't know.
Exactly.
Maybe.
It's not going to take away from what he does. This is the recipe. And I mean, especially with a receiver like DK Metcalf, who just had a game. DeKalen Zacharias Metcalf. You get in this house right now, young man. You can't play with those boys anymore. You're too dominant.
You're too strong.
The mercy rule for this guy in that game. 3 touchdowns for the big guy. Only like 60-something yards, I think, on 6 catches, but 3 touchdowns. The one of them was a layup. And then the other ones, I mean, Russell put the ball right where he had to have it. It looked like he was finally throwing some balls that could have gone either way, and of course DK was coming down with him.
Yeah, the 50-50 ball you speak of. But yeah, six catches, half of them for touchdowns. You like that sort of thing. So
yeah.
I mean, great game by him, but really great game by Russ. Efficient, used his legs, which we haven't seen him do all year. I mean, this was vintage Russ and Pete. And I said this on a couple interviews because, you saw the enthusiasm. You actually saw there was a little more energy than usual on that sideline. Mm-hmm. And, I say it's vintage, Russ and Pete, because I hope both of these guys realize how much they need each other. This is not, I think a lot of times, especially with quarterbacks and coaches, I mean, you looked at it over in New England, there's been that kind of power struggle or, who made this team.
Right.
And they both did, I mean, yeah, it'll be a debate for all the sports writers and the fans forever, but both of these guys, along with John Schneider, built this empire. And, it was fitting to see just a dominant performance like we know. And I hope it just conjures up memories between the two is what I'm saying. So
well,
just
Pete,
hey,
yeah,
let's do this.
Well, Pete said right after the game that we clearly have all the tools and, I don't know the exact words, I'm paraphrasing, but he said something like we clearly have all the pieces in place and we proved that today. So it sounds like Pete is saying, like, I don't want to change anything. Let's just keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people are going to look at it. Yeah. A lot of people are going to look at it and they're going to say, oh, well, it's a 2-13 team, Lions team.
Right.
It's a Lions team that's playing everybody tough, beat the Cardinals, who were at the top of our division, beat them handily. So it's still an NFL team. And I was impressed. 31 to 7.5. It was not a game. And I mean, they got within 2 scores because of, a drive and an onside, but we won the turnover battle. We were over 50% on third down. These are all things that you were accustomed to doing. And it was just good to see it all come together, finally in one game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, defensively, to me, it looked like a throwback game to like a Legion of Boom type game with the turnovers and how they were getting them and sort of the opportune bounces of the ball. The one that DJ Reed had where he came off of his guy to float over, and I mean, you can kind of break that down for us, but just me as a fan, I saw him kind of like break the kind of coverage he was on and then kind of float over and pick that ball off, and that looked like Richard Sherman days or something to me, didn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a great play by him.
Well, just like you're saying, like the Legion of Boom or Sherm, you'd have like a corner route or a go route. And then, someone's running a 7 underneath it, and he'll just run down and jump it. And, when you're smart, and Reed he's a very, cerebral player. He's smart. He knows how to play this game. He's instinctual, and that's what he does. So you let them take chances like that, especially when the game's, out of hand as it is. But, yeah, it was hoping Ugo was going to score on his, and that the ball came flying out.
Hang on to it. A little ball security. From the Oregon Duck.
Almost a turnover and then back to a turnover. But, it was awesome, man. Only thing, I mean, it goes without saying that first play of the game, watching my guy Bobby Wagner, I mean, my heart just sank. And finding out that there's no structural damage, it's a knee sprain of the MCL and PCL was great news. But, that's how terrible the season's been going.
Yeah.
That we were going to get to witness history by Bobby. I mean, every game he's breaking his own record for franchise, but he was set to break Ray Lewis's all-time record, and now we don't get to see it. It's just like that's the kind of season it's been, man. It's been just heartbreaking. Yeah,
that was a bummer for sure. It also ruined my segue into Lightbox, but I'll try because I'm a pro, man. So Lightbox is better.
Take us to the light.
Than your GOAT middle linebacker going down during the game. You know what would make you feel better? Buying some diamonds, some bling bling. Maybe send it to Bobby. Who knows? $800 a carat, everybody. Lightbox lab-grown diamonds. Same chemical makeup as, diamonds, but they're grown in a lab. And so they have a less of a carbon footprint. They're better for everybody. They cost less. They're clearer, brighter. They've cracked the science of sparkle, guys. Lightboxjewelry.com, no promo code. Yeah, man. Well, let me ask you, this sounds maybe like a real like sports radio style question, but I think I there's something about energy. There's something about juice and the mood of the team. Do you think there was something to there's not much to play for other than your own pride and your own professionalism and things like that, and maybe the pressure's off a little bit? Because Russ is usually good when there's not a lot of pressure, and there really wasn't in that game. Is the Detroit Lions, they're not going to the playoffs, might as well just kind of, let it fly. And it looked like that's kind of what they were doing.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, Russ has always been very consistent. He's always been solid, if nothing. Like even like in his worst games, it's still a solid performance.
Right.
I mean, the one game that he had a really bad game, the NFC Championship back in 2014, where he threw 4 picks. Like almost single-handedly lost that game, and come back and throw a 50-yard strike to win the game. So it's like you can't even really fault him in that because.
Well, for me though, like sometimes with him. I don't know, maybe you disagree, but like sometimes for me, in the beginning of seasons and stuff, when like things are just getting going, he'll throw more of those 50-50 balls or he'll take more chances. And then as the season gets a little more pressure, he tightens up a bit, maybe takes more sacks. That's how I see it. And in this game, I saw him, he looked like game 1 Russell Wilson of a season where he's just kind of chucking it.
No, he looked like a guy that could do whatever he wanted because he had a run game supporting him. And I mean, I think if you look back over his career, I mean, when you have Marshawn Lynch, that play action works. Even if Marshawn's not having a 100-plus yard day, they're continually handing him the ball. I mean, they're continually showing it. And it's like, okay, if he gets that ball, we're in trouble. Like that's what the defense's mind is at. And so, it doesn't always work when you're not committed to the run. And in the last few years, especially when Carson goes down, and even when Carson's in the Minnesota game, he averaging 8 yards a half, and he got 1 carry in the second half. So it's like when you're not committed to it, then they just sit back. They just sit on routes. There's nowhere to go with the ball. And then that's when the sacks happen. And we were moving the pocket. We were doing play action where off of those counters and powers, it was a rollout or a half roll, and now a hungry defensive line or even the fast defensive ends, they slow down to process, if this is a run, I have to wrong shoulder that and get underneath the puller. And these little tiny details make a big difference in actual time that Russell has in the pocket. And then now with all that middle coverage brought up by the play action, it's good luck one-on-one with DK. Good luck one-on-one with Tyler Lockett. It's not going to happen, man. You're in trouble. And so these are the things that we've gotten away from, and this is the stuff that I don't know why it took to week 16 for Shane Waldron and the offense to just call this. But when you actually call the run, this is what happens.
Well, now we have to speculate though, because why was this the game where they finally ran it 40 times and threw the ball to DK? I mean, let's speculate.
Yeah, because
is it Pete putting his foot down? Is it?
I don't know, but in my mind, I would have went the other way because I don't want Rashard Penny leaving in free agency with 1,000 yards in the last 5 games.
Right.
It's like, thanks for the 1,000-yard year in the last 5 games, and now he's gone. So I don't know why they're actually going to this, but. I think you know what? It could be like a last-ditch effort for Pete to say, hey, Russ, look, this is who you are when you have a run game. Mm-hmm. And this is who you are when you're just dropping back 40 times by yourself. And, he's still solid, but he's not Russell Wilson that we know. He's not the Super Bowl champion that we know and seen because it's too much, man. I think only Aaron Rodgers can go without a consistent run game. And do we even know that? Because he hasn't. He's had Jamal Williams. He's had Aaron Jones. He's had A.J. Dillon now.
Yeah.
And that offensive line doesn't get enough credit either.
Yeah, and even when he didn't have a run game, to your point, like he was still able to do some things. But
that's the thing. He just gets rid of the ball.
Well, but they didn't win the Super Bowl or anything like that.
No,
you need a run game. It's clear in the NFL. I mean, everybody says it. All the analysts, all the ex-players, everyone we talk to, running game.
Did you watch that game last night at all?
Yeah. I watched the whole thing almost.
Okay. It's a 2-score game, 19-7, right? And they're still throwing the ball in the second half when Baker's already got 2 interceptions, or he's already got an interception. He's had 10 straight incompletions. Mm-hmm. It's like, why does Nick Chubb only have 12 carries for the game?
I know.
A Pro Bowl, all-pro running back. only has 12 opportunities in the game. It's like, I don't blame Baker. I blame, he didn't play well. He's had a rough 2021 because of the shoulder. But, Stefanski, that offense coordinator too, what are you guys doing? You're not giving him any chance.
Well, and what about Russ taking off and running? I mean, the dive for the goal line. I mean, he's like that. That's what I meant by playing loose. Like we don't see that against the Rams in Game 7 or whenever it was.
Well,
I mean, I know he got hurt, but I'm just saying in years past, he tends to tighten up as the year goes on.
Well, there was a
loosey goosey out there running around like a kid in the backyard.
There was a 3rd and short. He pulled it. It was a zone read, and he pulled it and ran it for a first down. I was like, just doing that once a game significantly impacts the run game and allows, the cutback alley to be there for the running back, especially a guy like Collins. The faster guys are quicker, because Penny's kind of a one cut and go. And but that cutback is there now. And so even if you don't have anything going on the front side of that run play, you have an option to get out of there. And we haven't had that since Marshawn, because Russ hasn't kept the ball since Marshawn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it was a great game. I mean, they played great. It was fun to watch. I think it was a slightly frustrating game because there was a lot of just, why couldn't we be doing this all season going through my head? But
yeah,
if that's who they can be going forward, and that's going to be the questions, obviously, for us on the next episode coming up this week of this show and also into the off season, because that game was fun to watch, and it was fun to watch them score points, and it was fun to watch them play well, but it also leaves you with a lot of questions personnel wise and what to do. Right.
Yeah.
So let's get into some of those, shall we? Let's zone in, actually, even. We zone in because Zone In CBD is the best CBD in the game, whether it's the lotions, the topicals, the tinctures, the capsules, the powders. However you want it, Zone In has got it, everybody. ZoneInCBD.com. Use our promo code.
Believe, BLEAV.
Yeah. Maybe the Seahawks started finally taking some Zone In and, sharpening up that mental focus, realizing what they had to do, waking up feeling clear.
There it is.
Anyway, so let's zone in on some of your guys' questions, and you guys send these in on Twitter. It's either at Believe in Seahawks, or of course you can find Lofa and I on Twitter. Also, Twitter, what the heck? Let's verify Lofa. Let's keep that going.
Again,
come on, everybody. Let's get that blue check mark for our guy. But so first question up, and I think we have pictures of these. Mark on Twitter asks Lofa, what are your impressions of Cody Barton when playing with the starting D, and is he the heir apparent to Bobby? I mean, we got to see it in the Detroit Lions game because of Bobby going down. What do you think of Cody's game?
Cody looked good. Right away he came out, and I think he had like 2 tackles for loss in the first 3 series. And heir apparent, I don't know. I think Jordan Brooks is more the heir apparent. I think they would move Brooks to middle, and I think Barton would slide over to the weak side. And I think the only reason that they had Barton playing middle right now instead of, because it's just too much. When Brooks has played Will the whole year, you would just rather plug Barton in. But every time he plays, he shows up, and a big hit on special teams every game. Mm-hmm. Always up there with Nick Ballore, leading the charge. And so, and he's a very good football player. Just like, again, we talk about instincts, just, not getting fooled by play action, his responsibility in the middle hook on coverage. He's good. And, I think he's a starter in this league. But, again, I'd like to see Bobby back restructured. And I don't know if we're going to talk about that later, but I just think a restructured contract with an extension would get his cap number down. And I think we would be just fine.
Well, yeah, our next question is about Bobby directly, so that leads me to this. This comes in from John Mario on Twitter.
Oh my God!
And I want to ask 2 more about Jordan Brooks, because I thought in that game against Detroit, I mean, Jordan Brooks, there were a couple times where he just tackles the guy flat out. Like, he hit him, and that guy didn't move, and he's wrestling him to the ground, and they're not getting any extra yardage, and he's fast too. I mean, that one that he came kind of,
Super fast.
sideline to sideline, he's covering a lot of ground out there.
He's he's explosive and he's got stopping power is what we like to call it. So it's just straight knockback. Like they're not going forward. They're not. It's an aggressive body on you tackle. It's not one of these guys reaching. Trying to just capture the flag.
And you gotta love the smoked out visor too, right? Like the black.
It looks cool. I could never wear it. I wore it one time and I was like, I can't see shit. I was like, where am I?
He looks good doing it. Anyway, on Twitter, John Mario asked, what are your thoughts on the rumors of Bobby not being a Hawk next year? Do you think he remains with the team or no? And if he does go, which I hope he doesn't, do you think we have someone on the roster currently who could fill that void? How do you replace the leadership that he would bring?
Yeah, I mean, it was news to me. Obviously knowing the business, the nature of the business, I knew that it could be a possibility with his cap number so high. I think it's around 18 or 20, that it could be a cap, casualty as they call it. But he's still insanely productive. I got to believe, as much as he means to his team and from a leadership standpoint, that they're going to ask him to restructure before saying, hey, man, thanks for the decade of awesomeness. And, we'll see you in Canton. I think it'll be a talk of, and how it should go is, how many do you want to play? How many realistically, Bobby, how many more do you want to play? And, knowing him, he'll probably be like, give me like 5 more. He probably could. But if I'm the team, I'm like, okay, well, we would love to have you for at least, another 2 or 3, right? I think 2 or 3, he's very serviceable. You never know, especially injuries.
With injuries.
Just had one.
Yep.
So while this is a minor one that he will, 100% recover from, he is, I think, 31 or 32. And that's not old, but it's getting up there with how many snaps he's played.
Sure. So
you asked for restructure, and if he goes, this is the one reason, the leadership aspect. I said that if Russ leaves, you must retain Bobby to carry the message and tell everybody how it was and how it is, how we do things. Because a lot of these young guys, and I think that's the biggest thing, they don't. It's like they don't understand. They don't remember, that we were 8-8, and I know Bobby doesn't. But Bobby heard from all the other guys, because Bobby's rookie year, he went 12-4. We've won every year since Bobby's been here, except for this year. But all those guys, Cam, Earl, all those other guys are around for 500 years, and they knew that was not the standard. And so for the whole team to carry the message, you need someone to at least relay the message. And then that's got to be either Bobby or Russ, hopefully Bobby and Russ. But that's how I see the whole thing. And it's going to be tough. I'm sure leaders will emerge, but I don't think you're going to see anyone just, outright take the lead dog role like Bobby has, in his time here.
Well, I'm nervous. I'll just say it flat out. I'm nervous for the Bobby Wagner negotiations in the offseason or whatever is going to happen. I want him to be a lifetime Seahawk. Honestly, I almost got emotional thinking about it. It would kill me to see Bobby Wagner in a different
uniform. Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm actually getting emotional about it. That would kill me. I don't want to see that happen. And what worries me, and I think the reason I'm getting emotional about it is because it scares me. We've seen Pete and John go through these with our, leaders on the team, guys that are the superstars on the teams, the guys that command the big contracts. Earl, in the past, like Richard, that flamed out. Marshawn. We see it time and time again with our star players. Michael Bennett wasn't happy at the end for whatever reasons. And I don't want it to get that way with Bobby. And I'm sure I speak for a lot of Hawk fans when I say that, because we just respect him so much, So don't mess it up, guys. It's my message for the front office with that, man.
Oh, wow.
I'm in a weird place today, maybe. Maybe it's the new year. I don't know.
I'm not crying.
But it's real. I love Bobby Wagner, man. I love him so much, I feel like, he's just instant Ring of Honor, instant Hall of Fame for me, just jersey retired. I just love him so much, and I don't want them to mess this up like they have maybe with some other guys, because sometimes it doesn't end well. You know that, Lofa. Come on.
It never ends the way we want it to. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
I don't care if we won a Super Bowl this year. If it wasn't going to work out contractually between Bobby and the front office, Bobby wouldn't retire. I'm not saying he would put on another.
No, I know.
jersey.
That's the part that makes me emotional.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I mean, he could still play at a very high level. And so, but I mean, I don't know. I think back to like Ray Lewis, one of the other all-time greats, won a Super Bowl in his last game. He had over 100-something tackles the year, great stats. The year 18 or whatever it was, you think Ray was like, all right, you know what? It's time to retire. Like, no, it was just like, I guarantee you he could have played another year. And I guarantee you talk to Ray right now. He's like, oh, I could have played probably another 2. Mm-hmm. And like, that's something that every guy goes through as a competitor. And, but with what Bobby's put on tape this year, he can still play and play well. And so, that opportunity out there, it's something that the team has to like figure out. Really, like this is like, okay, if Russ is getting brought into the fold, I believe Bobby is deserved, has earned that conversation too. Just like, okay, this is what, I only want to play 1 or 2, I want to finish here. So if it was like a 2-year, because I think he's got 1 year left on his deal, but the cap number's high. So it'd have to be a restructuring. So if you extended it like a year or 2 with a team option on that 3rd year, I think that retains him for 2. And, you take it like a year-by-year case. And I think he'd be fine with that.
So do you think he's a Seahawk next year? Yes or no?
I think he is. I think they're going to have that conversation. I think that's, he's been in those conversations as his own agent. So I don't think it's different compared to other players who have gone through this.
Matt on Twitter, last one from Matt says, for you, Loaf, would you ever consider taking a position as a defensive coordinator if you were offered it?
I don't know. I mean, that's just a very big question. I'd actually prefer an offensive coordinator role.
Huh.
Because it's, I know how to attack defenses. Yeah, of course I would have to learn a lot in terms of the terminology and all that. But in terms of actual just play calling, it's really not that hard. and I'm saying this from the sheer standpoint of how many times coordinators have kicked our ass with the same play over and over. This is the problem, is everybody outsmarts themselves. It's like, we're averaging 8 yards a carry with that power. We've called 3 of them and we've had exactly 24 yards. Nah, let's run. Let's throw it
somewhere else.
Let's go power pass now. And it's just like, just run it until they can't stop it. Dude, I remember like that when the Niners got Larry Allen, Frank Gore had those 2 big games against us. It was power, counter, power. And like we knew it was coming. You just couldn't stop it. And that's the worst part. And so I just don't – so many teams have gotten away from that. They're just like, okay, this is the perfect time to do a trick play, interception, fuck. Well, what'd you think was going to happen, man?
Yeah.
Someone did it the other day. They finally got to the red zone and they went to a trick play. And I was like, you ran the ball all the way down here just to throw a trick play that almost got picked off.
The Lions threw it to a lineman down there against us. It didn't work out. And then they did one that did.
They did it back-to-back plays. And I mean, that wasn't
a different guy though. They're like, not you anymore.
That wasn't that wasn't, you don't have to declare eligible. It wasn't unbalanced, but the the receiver was off the line of scrimmage. Now, I really feel like the ref has to alert, the defense, or at least the corner. The corner sees that, and he's like, hey, he's off when he's always supposed to be the X receiver on the ball. And so if he's off, he has to alert. I think it was Ryan Neal. He's like, hey, that tackle's eligible. And so they did it twice in a row, and they completed it the second time. So it's unfortunate, but yeah, it's wild to me.
I think it's cool that you would take the opposite and do the offensive coordinating because you could see it from the defensive side.
Well, it's crazy. It's like my linebacker coach, because we're always in meetings and stuff, and so as soon as he would tell us the game plan. I would just fucking write down all these damn plays. And just like, okay, yep.
They're gonna do this. They're gonna.
Yeah, and I would just hand it to him, and then he was like, "Yeah, I know. We're already talking about those, Loaf." He's like, "So," he goes, "But he's like, if you ever co-coach, he goes, be an offensive coordinator because he goes, you know,
That's
you
cool.
already got how we're gonna get beat if we do."
I like that. That's cool. That's it for us, everybody. We're out of time on the show. Thanks for sending in your questions. Continue to do that. We're at Believe in Seahawks on Twitter and Instagram. Lofa is at Lofa Tatupu 51, and I'm at BDav, but don't worry about it. You go ask Lofa the questions. He's got the answers. And thanks to our sponsors, Bet Online, Simply Seattle, Lightbox, and Brinks TV, and the Believe Network, and everybody. We'll be back later in the week to break down this upcoming game against the Arizona Cardinals. We will send them backing into the playoffs, limping into the playoffs, I'm sure. We'll talk about it later this week. Lofa, break us down.
This one's from producer Katie. We all love Bobby, but we're going Brett loves Bobby on 3. 1, 2, 3. Brett loves Bobby.
I love Bobby.